How many channels can you look effectively in? The answer is 3 or fewer. You cannot look effectively in more than 3 channels. I got the research on this. Just trust me on this one. But I do want to say this. Always listen for opportunity. I had a client that was riding on an airplane. She got bumped into first class. She looked at the guy next to her and said, "This guy rides first class all the time." She said, "I'm going to talk to him." And she walked away with an invitation to come to his company in rural Oregon. And she got hired as the marketing manager, $150,000 a year job, because she chats the guy up on an airplane. I had another client was riding an elevator, and she gave her elevator speech on the elevator at Intel. It's the only elevator speech I've ever heard of being delivered on an elevator. And she said to the guy, she said, "I looked at his badge, and it said Vice President, and her badge said Visitor." So she was like, "I'm going to hit this guy up." So she did her elevator speech, and he said, "Come by my office after you get back from lunch with your friend, and I'd be happy to talk to you." That did not result in a position, but that's a really cool story because she was in an elevator doing an elevator speech. Okay, which one of these is the most important one of all? I haven't heard the right number yet. 4! 4! If you get enough appointments, you're going to get a job. If you don't get appointments, you're not going to get a job. I watched a guy that did not speak English get a job, and it took him about 25 minutes. So here was his entire job search technique. He walked up to anyone who, this was on Polk Street in San Francisco, he walked up to anybody that was well-dressed, stuck out his hand and said, "Excuse me, mister, do you have a job?" That was his entire search technique. I thought, this guy's whack. I'm going to go, I bought a cigar and I started following him. You know, he hit me up. I just acted like I didn't understand English. So he goes down the street. How do I know he didn't speak English? He walked right up to women, stuck out his hand and said, "Excuse me, mister, do you have a job?" Okay? So he did it to everybody. He got a job in about 8 blocks. 8 blocks. Why? Because he was getting an appointment every 22 seconds. If you guys get appointments, you're going to get a job. No appointments, no job. You know what to measure in your search? Don't measure how many applications you have out. Don't measure that. It's a false sense of security. Oh, I have 100 applications out. No, you don't. How many people did you talk to this week? That's the only thing that matters. And talk to does mean that you interchange with them by email. If I send you an email, you email me back, and then you actually thought about it, that's an interview. That's it, that counts. Am I making sense? Am I making sense? Okay, if I can win you over, I have some faith that everyone else will, because you're a leader. You're on the front row. Okay, now you have to, if you notice, this process starts with a target. Now, when you are doing hidden job marketing, you have to tell people what you want. That's a job. That's something you have to do. So here's what I want you to do. Say the top one, and then I will ridicule you. So you say the first bullet. What kind of job do you want?
A green job. I don't know. Something to do with the environment.
Oh, that's nice. But there's no clarity of purpose in that. Okay? Be specific. When you're specific, you guys, no one hires generalists. I don't know if you know this. No one hires generalists. Do not be a generalist. Be a specialist. Be a subject matter expert. Be able to solve a problem, a specific problem. Now you come in the door able to solve problem A, we start talking about problem B. I didn't say you don't say I can do B too, but the door opened because you said you could do A. The door opens because you're an expert, not because you're a generalist. No one wants to help a student who says, "I don't know I can do anything." No, you can't. And the student who says, "I want to work with people." Morticians work with people. No, I want you to say something like the bottom one. Go.
Industrial level recycling of post-consumer electronics, as in container loads are larger, and global trade in such materials.
Okay, here's what I want you to do. I want you to decide what your target is right now and be able to tell me in about 10 seconds. And I want it to be very, very specific. And I'm okay if it even has geography. I want to work in Atlanta in advertising for cars. I want to work in New York City in advertising for advertising. I don't know. I want clarity of purpose. 10 seconds. Turn to your neighbor and ask him. All right, so when you're networking, I want to give you a hot tip. Don't ask for a job, because when you ask for a job, you make me say no to you. Ask for advice, ideas, leads, and referrals. So that's how you do this. So if they have a job that you're appropriate for, they'll bring it up, I promise you. If they don't bring it up, they don't like you for it, okay? So no big deal. Ask for advice, ideas, leads, and referrals. So a lot is made of what networking is. Networking is simply talking to people. That's all it is. So I'm asking you to, you can do almost all this by email. Where's my shy person? Which one of you is shy? Okay, go ahead and ask a question. I'm gonna make you do it. Give her the mic. Faster though. Everybody look at her, she's shy.
Anywho, so as he mentioned previously, I am terribly introverted. So my question was, how would I go about making that initial contact?
Okay, and the answer is that you use email. And I know that it's a big deal for introverts to email somebody, but it's a lot less than calling somebody. You just don't get a pass for being introverted. One of the best freelance writers in San Francisco is a person that is afraid of people. When we meet her, she won't look at you. But she actually has a huge list of editors and writers and publishers, and she works that list systematically. She starts at the top and goes to the bottom, over 1,000 people, she told me. Okay, I don't care how shy you are, you don't get a pass on doing this. It is so ineffective to get in a pile of 500 resumes. You simply don't get a pass by being shy. Okay, we're out of time, and so there's just one more thing I want to show you because it matters. I want to show you how you build a list of hundreds of companies, and you do it with Hoovers.com. Oh, look at that top thing. College graduates who go home to live in the basement are looking for work less than an hour per week. That's horrible. They're just going to get old in that basement. They're not going to find a job. The house will fall down on them before they will find a job. Okay? So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think like a zombie horde. How does a zombie horde approach a building? And that's how you approach your job targets. Okay? A zombie horde, they go up on the front porch and they try the door. And they walk up there and they rattle the doorknob. And they try to look through the window. Then they go over to the window and look in. And then they scratch the window. And then they go around the side of the house and they try the windows there. And the back door. And if all of that fails, they go up on the roof and they try to come down the chimney. You are a zombie horde. You keep trying to break into an organization until they ask you to stop. The minute they ask you to stop, you stop. Or you get in. I will tell one extremely brief story about a student who did this, I think, as most perfectly as could be done. He wanted to work for Charles Schwab. Charles Schwab's office was, I could see it out my window. Okay, it was a big building, and they had these big doors that opened up, and people flowed in there like a river every morning. So the student came to me and said, it is my dream to work at Charles Schwab. I think they're the best company in the world. They're creating wealth for the middle class. How honorable it would be to work for Charles Schwab. And I said, I can get you a job at Charles Schwab. He said, what? You can guarantee me one? I said, I can't really guarantee you, but I can get it for you. He said, what do I do? So I made him a letter, and I told him to go down there and stand in that sea of people that comes in at 6 o'clock in the morning to be there at 6:30 when the market's open. So at 6 o'clock in the morning, they're flowing in like a river, all in suits. And I said, just hand this letter of your resume to everybody in a suit. Stand in that sea of people and do it. And the letter said, after you get up to your office, I am still downstairs. And my cell phone number is X. And I want to work at Charles Schwab. What an honor it would be to work at Charles Schwab, creating wealth for the middle class. How proud I would be to work for Charles Schwab. First day, nothing happened. He came up to see me, he said, nothing happened. I said, you're impatient. Do it tomorrow, too. And the day after that, too. And the day after that, too. The second day, a vice president called in from upstairs. He said, are you really still downstairs? He said, yeah. The guy said, go over to security, use my name, they'll give you a badge, come up here and I'll talk to you. That guy's been working there 10 years. He just wrote to me and said that he is now a vice president. Get out there. Good luck.